Hello everyone and welcome to Big Rock Moto. Thank you so much for tuning in today. In today's episode 2 on the long-term test of the 2024 Suzuki V-Strom 800 DE Adventure, it's pretty simple. We're going to go for a ride. Today is a heat wave. Actually, here in California, we've been going through a massive heat wave for the past week and it just seems to be no end in sight. So the temperatures on today's ride are going to be at times well in excess of 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm going to give you some tips also for hot weather riding, but beyond that, we're going to take a 200-mile ride, a highway ride on the V-Strom to get some break-in miles on it because this bike is not broken in yet and I want to do the first oil change, the first service. We'll talk about kind of what I like and don't like about the V-Strom a little bit more. And yeah, we'll give you those hot weather riding tips. So let's go for a ride. All right, so what I'm wearing today, I'm wearing a Sedici Moto 2 mesh jacket. Highly recommend mesh gear for hot weather summer riding. And then I've got this Sedici cooling vest. It holds water and then it's like evaporative cooling for your body. So as you're riding down the road, the air flows through your mesh jacket, hits this thing is soaked in water, so it's nice and wet, and it keeps you cool for a couple hours and then you have to rehydrate it. So really cool. And then my pants, I'm wearing the Climb K43 tapered stretch riding jeans. These are my favorite riding jeans I've ever tried. I love these things. These are Alpenstar's SMX ventilated boots. Really nice because they ventilate for the airflow through for hot weather. Everything today is about hot weather. And then I always recommend wearing a hydration pack. So ice water in here. This is an MSR, what do they call this? The Race, or it's like an ultra slim basic hydration pack. I'll link to all the stuff below, of course, and please use my affiliate links when you can. And then let's see, I've got a quad lock phone mount. I've got my DJI cameras, Action 4. I'm filming on the Pocket 3 right now. Another Action 4 in the helmet. I'm wearing the Arai Contour X street helmet. Because we're not doing off-road today, I figured let's wear the nice, comfortable, quiet street helmet. So I love my Contour X and I've got a smoke shield on it. For gloves, I'm using these Sedici Moto 2 mesh gloves. They kind of match the jacket, as you can see, so that's pretty cool. And then I'm using the factory hard luggage for today's ride since it's a highway ride. I believe these are made by SW Motec. They're really nice. I really like using them. Top loading is so convenient. So like the stuff I'm carrying today, I've got a hat. I'm gonna put that on. I've got my helmet cleaner stuff. I've got a battery powered tire inflator. I've got this cooler bag with ice water and snacks in it. I've got this little Moto bag where I kind of keep my camera. I've got these baby wipes, wet wipes. That's always handy if you need to clean yourself up. I've got my phone charging on one of these charger things because I forgot to charge my phone last night. First aid kit, tire repair kit, my tool roll. I've got a, what's in here? Oh yeah, this is like a jump starter pack thing. And then I've got some other tools somewhere in here, some other stuff. So that's about it there. And then the bike is totally stock except for the only thing I've done is I put this Puig wind deflector. This is the medium size. So everything will be linked below, any sort of products. And I appreciate using my affiliate links. So let me gear up. And so we're going to ride to Big Bear Lake, California. It's about 110 miles from where I live. I live down more towards like the San Diego mountains, kind of a little bit like that. So we're going to stick in the mountains as much as we can to try to avoid the heat, but it's still going to be hot even in the mountains. But it'll be really hot when we have to drop down into the Banning Pass to get over to the next mountain range. And then we'll take the back way up through Oakland, up to Big Bear Lake, have lunch, and come on back. Oh, 2 more tips for really hot weather riding. Sorry, I've got kind of a little thing on my head here. I don't know why it keeps bleeding. Electrolytes, so I recommend taking electrolytes. You know, if you're riding in extremely hot weather like today, man, you really need to get your electrolytes up. So Gatorade is just sugar. You don't really want that. These are electrolyte pills I got from Amazon. You can also buy electrolyte powder mixes you can put in bottles of water, or I don't like to put it in my Camelback, in my hydration bag, because then I got to clean that reservoir out. That gets kind of ugly. So electrolytes. The other thing I did was I'm wearing one of these little neck gaiter things, but it's soaked in water, so it's kind of the evaporative cooling again to help me keep me cool. It's gonna dry out in like pretty fast, so I have to re-wet that, you know, every time I stop. But I am carrying a big thing of ice water with me. Again, I can do all this because I'm kind of on a more touring bike. I've got the hard bags. I got plenty of space, you know, to carry all this, which is nice. I like touring like that. Anyway, okay, let's go ride. Okay, so we're going to track our fuel mileage. I'm interested to see. So I reset trip 1. We have pretty much a full tank of gas, so that's good. This bike only has 25 miles on it. It's brand new, brand spanking new.
It says I have 187 mile range. Let's see what we get for miles per gallon today. I'm curious. I'm pretty sure we can do this whole ride over 200 miles on one tank of gas, but let's see how that goes. The thing I wanted to see on the V-Strom is the speedometer accurate? And like almost all Japanese motorcycles, for whatever reason, they read about 8% high, so it's 65 miles an hour on the dash. It's 60 miles an hour here on the GPS. So yeah, that's about it's about 8% or so high. So something to keep in mind. It really frustrates me that, you know, motorcycle manufacturers do this, because it's like, I want it to tell me my speed, you know, the actual speed, not a made up speed. Anyway, the rest of the dash I love. It's so easy to use. There's like 3 buttons to control everything. Up, down mode. You can select things. I have it in a black background. I like that. So I really like the dash on this bike. It's fantastic. The seat on the V-Strom feels incredibly comfortable, at least initially. I don't know how it'll be if you ride like 500 miles in a day. I don't know. The windshield is okay. I probably need to get a different windshield. The deflector helps, but it's still getting quite a bit of wind noise. With the street helmet, it's not too bad. Okay, we're now riding through the small mountain town of Idlewild, California. So Idlewild is a town of about 4,000 permanent residents, 3,000 to 4,000 permanent residents, and it's about 2.5 hours east of Los Angeles. It's a mile high, so 5,500 feet above sea level. You can see it's a pine forest, Jeffrey pine, ponderosa pine, coulter pine, I don't know, sugar pine, all sorts of pines, and some firs, and then you have black oaks. And anyway, this is not a tree channel or a gardening channel, is it? But there's one other brave biker there today. So this is a common destination for motorcycles in Southern California, and all tourists really, to come up and escape the heat from down below. And in the winter it snows here, so people come and enjoy the snow. There's a prestigious art school here, which I worked for almost 15 years. That's where I had my first career. So I've been in this area my entire life, and I love it. The downside of Idlewild is, well, you do have some snow in the winter, and then in the summer we have a pretty extreme level of fire danger, so we're always very nervous about fires. I live a little bit out of town now, so I don't live here in town anymore, but I used to, and so it's a very, very special place for me. So getting back to the V-Strom, a few things I've noticed on my ride up here. My leg is really hot, so the engine puts out a lot of heat on your legs. It's a hot bike to ride in the summer, so that's a downside. I need to put in some compression and rebound damping into the rear shock. It's very like floaty, like woo, 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 you know, kind of a thing. And watch this traffic here that I don't get. Okay, another biker. There we go. They come up here because it's 95 degrees here, but it's probably 105 or 110 down below. So it's kind of like you know, an island above all the valleys below. So it's a very different weather up here. Some other things I noticed on the V-Strom. What else was I gonna say? Oh yeah, the other thing I noticed was the engine does have some kind of buzziness around 5,000 or 6,000 RPM. So we'll see how that progresses during the 6 months I have the bike. Other people have mentioned that. I mean, it feels smooth, like at this 4,000 RPM I'm riding right now, but it seems like somewhere around like, yeah, around 5,500 RPM, you feel buzz coming through the foot pegs and the handlebars, and then it kind of smooths out again up around 6,000 or 7,000. So
lived in the mountains for a long time, and sometimes I question all the extra work that it takes, but then I realize that areas like this are like 30 minutes from my house or 20 minutes from my house, so I'm super lucky, super blessed. So I turned up all the clickers on the suspension. The problem is the rear compression adjustment is buried in here. It's extremely difficult to get to. I need like a a longer screwdriver, which I don't have with me. So, and I turned up the preload a bit too. I just feel like the rear is really floaty. Beyond that, and then the engine heat is really bad. That's the only two things kind of bugging me right now. Oh, and I wish I had cruise control. It's interesting. You see these old beat up pipes, so it's kind of like a remnant of history that's long past, right? So here in the San Jacinto Mountains, you know, this used to be a logging area in the early 20th century. About 100 years ago, there was a period where there was a lot of logging in this area. They had Fuller Mill Creek and all these places, and so they would have to move water, you know, around, whether it was for their encampments or for the logging operations or for sawmill operations or other things they had. So, you know, the history of the mountains, of course, all across the western United States, I suppose the whole western United States, was, you know, they needed resources to build things and things that people needed, and so they had to cut trees to do that. So to me, it's not really good or bad. It was just a thing that happens with human progress. Now, of course, we have much better logging practices, much more environmentally friendly logging practices than we used to. There's one other thing I wanted to show you up here. This is turning more into a travel vlog than a bike video, but if you see here, we have an issue in the San Jacinto Mountains with the mountain yellow-legged frog. You can see this cute little guy here. The MYLF, or MILF, as the local newspaper calls it, they always write in the local paper about the mountain yellow-legged frog, MYLF, and they abbreviate it MILF, and they say there's issues with the MILFs going away. So it's kind of a joke in my family, but anyway, protect the MILFs, don't get too close to the water. We don't want the MILFs, the mountain yellow-legged frogs. What do you think it means? Come on, guys. We don't want them to go away.
All right, so we're dropping down Highway 243, dropping down out of the San Jacinto Mountains into the Banning Pass. So on the top of this road up in Pine Cove is over 6,000 feet elevation, or around 2,000 meters. And now we're going to drop down to about 1,500 feet, or like, what is that? 500 meters in elevation. So we're going from the mountains down into kind of a arid or desert type valley, or inland valley. So Southern California has really interesting geography, weather, and climate, because it has, a lot of people think of Southern California, they think of like, you know, San Diego or Los Angeles. Maybe you think of like a palm tree or something like that. You think of the beaches. What you don't really think of is the mountains, though. We have really significant mountain ranges in the southern half of California. So we have the Santa Rosa Mountains, the San Jacinto Mountains, and then we have the San Gorgonio Mountains. People are familiar with Big Bear and places like that. So like that mountain, well, you can't see it. We got to go up here. So up on San Jacinto Mountain, which is up there, the peak of San Jacinto Peak is over 10,000 feet. San Gorgonio Peak, that peak straight in front of us there, is almost 11,000 feet. So think of the elevation difference. You know, Palm Springs, which is out there in that haze, is like, what, 500 feet above sea level, somewhere like that. And then San Jacinto Peak is almost 11,000. So think of the elevation differences. So you get a lot of wind, you get a lot of interesting weather. You have the San Andreas Fault runs right there, actually. If you know where to look, you can see it. All of this geography is because of the North American Plate and the Pacific Plate meeting together and you know, folding up the landscape because of plate tectonics. So you've got the Pacific Plate and the North American Plate crashing together. So you get the transverse ranges, mountain ranges like that. Then you get the you know, the parallel or perpendicular ranges like San Jacinto and Santa Rosa. And then you kind of have four main kind of, I would say, climates in Southern California, so to speak. You've got the coast, which is usually kind of cool and foggy. Then you have the inland valleys, which tend to be kind of hot, pretty warm in the summer. Then you have the mountains, like where I live. And then you have the deserts, like the Coachella Valley. The temperature difference right now today between the coast is probably about 65 degrees and foggy at the coast, and in Palm Springs today it's going to be 122 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's a temperature difference of like, what, 55 degrees, somewhere like that, almost 60 degree temperature difference. So it's insane, and that's only an hour and a half driving to go from 122 degrees Fahrenheit to 65 degrees Fahrenheit. So anyway, you can tell I really like this stuff. I kind of nerd out about weather and geography and climate and geology and all this stuff. Anyway, hope I'm not boring you guys, but I really think this stuff is cool. But it's part of why Southern California, even though it's very crowded, is kind of a cool place to live. So I took the 10 freeway, got off and rode through Banning. That was hot and miserable. My gosh. It was like the longest traffic light ever. I mean, this bike is absolutely roasting my legs, and it is hot. I mean, it's almost 100 degrees Fahrenheit, so you know, it's the worst case scenario, but man, my legs are just dying from the heat. So now I'm riding up through Oak Glen and Cherry Valley. So Cherry Valley is kind of the foothills, kind of above Banning, like going up to Oak Glen. And then Oak Glen is like kind of a foot high in the foothills, kind of a community about, I think it's like 4,000 feet elevation up here. They had a really bad wildfire up here a few years ago. I think it was the well, they had the Apple Fire, and then they had another one. I forget what it was called. They've had horrible fires through here. You can see it's just brush, really steep topography, some oak trees, and then if you get real high up there, you get into the pine trees, but you have to get a bit higher. So Oak Glen has like apple orchards and farms and stuff. This is Cherry Valley neighborhood kind of over here. So this is kind of a not a shortcut actually, but a back way to kind of connect with Highway 38, which is the back scenic way to get up to Big Bear. So anyway, good motorcycle ride to ride up here through Oak Glen and then connect to Highway 38. Man, the tar snakes on this Oak Glen road are horrible. So all these black marks on the road, they put this sealant material to fill the cracks in the asphalt. And when it's hot like this, which it is today, they get really slippery, and because the material softens up and gets kind of loose, and you'll feel the bike like slip in the corners. And it's just, man, this road has so many tar snakes. You really can't go fast on this in the hot weather. I mean, I can feel the tires slipping as I go over all of these things if I have much lean angle. So always manage your traction, manage your lean angle, and you know, work with the traction you have so you don't have a crash. So, all right, we're finally beginning our ascent up Highway 38, which runs, it's one of the best motorcycle rides in Southern California. It runs from Redlands all the way up to Big Bear Lake, the back way, and it's very pretty, very great motorcycle road. Goes up to pretty high elevation, Onyx Summit, at over 8,000 feet, which we'll be at here very shortly. And so yeah, I'm going to enjoy the ride and check back with you once we get to a little bit cooler temperatures. Other thing I would say about the V-Strom that I really like, the quick shifter is very, very nice. It's fun to use. Okay, welcome to the sprawling metropolis megacity of Angeles Oaks. Population, I think like 42. I don't know, not 4,200, 42 people. I don't know, it's something like that. 5,300 feet elevation. That's the restaurant I'm coming back to in about an hour when I circle back through here. That's where I'm having lunch. So they better darn well stay open because I'm hungry for a burger. But I'm going to continue to enjoy the best part of Highway 38, which is between here and Big Bear. And hopefully find a nice place to cool off somewhere with a stream or something. I could use to cool off. My legs are just roasting. I mean, I'm hot. This cooling vest really works well. I find that if I stand up and get into the airflow above the windshield, the cooling vest obviously works a lot better. So anyway, the V-Strom's not particularly fast, but it has enough power. Ooh, sand. There's some good sand. It has enough power to be entertaining for sure. And it handles, you know, pretty well for a bike with a 21-inch front wheel. It's not a Ducati Desert X, that's for sure. But it's pretty decent. It's pretty decent. I don't know why is that wet right there? That's interesting. Oh, there's a stream there. You.
All right, so I'm here almost Onyx Summit, and I just want to show you some of the flood damage in this area. So this area south of Big Bear, between Big Bear and kind of San Gorgonio Mountain, like over there a little bit, like one little canyon over is the South Fork of the Santa Ana River, which runs from these mountains down all the way to the coast somewhere in Orange County or LA. Anyway, a lot of people will know that river, but you can see this is just a tributary area here of the Santa Ana River. The river, it just joins the river right down there. But you can see we've got down trees. This road goes to a big campground and a bunch of hiking trail access and Pacific Crest Trail. This is out of commission, so they have this gated up. I don't know why this happened a year ago. I don't know why they're not working on fixing it, but I think the Forest Service in my part of the country faces a severe personnel issue and a severe funding issue, so they're not even able to do simple repairs when things break, which is unfortunate because then we lose all our recreational access to places like campgrounds and trails and riding areas up here. So you can see this road, I mean, whatever flood, you can see, wow, really significant kind of flooding damage over there. Huge pine trees down. I mean, this is just one tiny sliver, or one tiny example of the area. When I was driving up, I saw much worse. So you can see the creek's actually running over the road right now, which is, I don't think it's really supposed to be doing that. I used to go camping up here all the time. So anyway, last summer we had some historically significant flash flooding and rains in this area that just did so much damage. Another tip for hot weather, you know, for me, whenever I see a creek or a stream and it's really hot in the summer, I stop and I get off the bike. I go put my feet in, get my feet cooled down, you know, wet my balaclava, wet my head, cool off, get refreshed, wet my, you know, probably should re-wet my, what do you call it, the cooling vest. But I have issues in the heat. I don't do well with the heat, so I got to find ways to cool down, but it's always refreshing to find a mountain stream.
Right, well, we made it to the top of Onyx Summit. We're at 8,400 feet. There used to be a sign here. I don't know what happened to the sign, but there's kind of like a little parking area. Looks like maybe the sign fell over or somebody hit it with their car. I don't know. But I'm going to use this as my turnaround point. We've gone 97 miles from the house. I'm happy with that. We've got, it says we've got 93 miles to empty, so I think we'll make it back because that's always, you know, conservative. We are getting 49.3 miles a gallon coming. Well, we went up and downhill, I guess, but that's pretty good, around 50 miles a gallon. So let's see if we can get home on one tank of gas. I'm going to go ride Highway 38 the other direction, get some lunch, and then start heading home.
I'm starving. So I think we'll go all in and get a barbecue bacon cheeseburger. I mean, life is short, right? You could be dead tomorrow. Might as well go for the whole enchilada. What is it about ranch dressing? What is it about ranch dressing at diners? It's so good. I don't know. That was a delicious lunch. All right, I made it home finally. Man, the heat started to get to me after a while. I had to stop in that creek again that I showed you on the way out there to cool down. Man, it was over 100 degrees pretty much the entire ride home. So that gets pretty exhausting. You know, a few days ago, there was a news story just came out. A rider a motorcycle rider died in Death Valley from heat exposure, but he was riding with a group of friends, and it was over 120 degrees. So that just isn't safe. So I feel really bad. So, my thoughts go out to that rider's family. But yeah, the heat waves are serious. So electrolytes, cold water, always wear a hydration pack, cooling vest. Wet down your base layers if you can. Try to not ride in the heat of the day. I don't know. Those are my tips for hot weather. In terms of the bike, so in terms of how this thing did, I started to get a little discomfort from the seat the last, half an hour or so. So after about 150 miles, I started to get some seating discomfort. So the seat might be a little bit soft. Maybe, I think that if this was my own bike that I was going to do some long trips on, I probably might need to upgrade the seat or at least get a seat pad. I'd probably just get the ventilated seat cover, the cool cover, because my butt is so hot. Just that black seat gets so hot. And then the fuel mileage, so I got 52 miles a gallon, and I got home at 200, just under 200 miles for the trip, and I still have 35 miles left on the computer, but we all know that's conservative, so probably 250 miles in reality. So 250 mile or 400 plus kilometer fuel range, that's fantastic. That's what I want to see from an adventure bike. Other than the engine heat, which is pretty bad on this bike, my legs were hot all day and it gets really old. Other than that, I found the bike to be a very nice companion to ride, do a long ride on. If you own one of these bikes, let me know. Have you experienced this engine heat on your legs? And if so, is there anything that can be done about it? Because it seems pretty bad to me, but maybe it's just because I'm wearing the riding jeans, or maybe it's because it's just so bloody hot right now. So. All right, well, I need a shower and a cold drink and get inside to the AC. Thank you so much for watching this episode. In episode 3, I'm going to put on the cruise control. And in episode 4, we're going to adventurize the bike, knobby tires, handguards, some more accessories, do some other cool upgrades to it. And then there'll be more after that. So stay tuned for more V-Strom content. Thank you so much for watching. Ride safe, and I'll see you out there.